My name is Salong Chun. I am the Digital Communications Manager at PLU, and today we have a very special guest here. We have Brooke Brown, English Language Arts teacher at Washington High School, Franklin Pierce School District in Tacoma, Washington. And Brooke has been awarded the 2020 Washington State Educator of the Year. Let's put our hands up. Yay.
My name is Brooke Brown. I was born in Seattle, but raised in Tacoma. My Tacoma roots go deep. And I've been teaching at Washington High School. This is my 15th year teaching, and just grateful to be a part of the community.
And you mentioned that you wanted to change the world by becoming a lawyer, but ended up becoming a teacher. Can you talk about your experience and how tutoring led you to become a teacher?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was one of those kids who for Halloween would dress up like a lawyer because I was going to be a civil rights attorney and I was going to change the world. Like, I love John Grisham novels. I love watching Law and Order. And I thought that's what being a lawyer would be like. And then my junior year was the same year that they filmed 10 Things I Hate About You at Stadium. I'm a Stadium grad as well. So I could either be in the movie or I could go to, I applied for this internship with the Tacoma Pierce County Bar Association. So I got to hang out. I did the internship. I wasn't in the movie. And I got to spend time with all sorts of really cool people, judges, and at Pierce County Superior Court and the Supreme Court, and with private practice attorneys and at Raymond Hall. And I got to see all the facets of law. And it's nothing like an episode of Law and Order. And so for me, I just was like, oh, I don't think it's for me. Shout out to all the great attorneys out there, but it just wasn't my thing. It wasn't my passion. And so I went to college not knowing what I wanted to do. And so my second quarter, I think at UW, I was in it was like a natural world class. I think it was Forests in Society or Animals in Society. And you could make this really complicated website, which I'm not the best with tech. People will tell you I'm not tech savvy. Or you could tutor for 25 hours. So I was like, kids, cool, let's do this. And so I spent some time at a school in Seattle and just really, I just really enjoyed it. And I just saw such a need for teachers that can connect with students. And I just really thought about, I just wanted to be a teacher that I needed when I was growing up, that saw me, that I needed someone who could just encourage me and connect in ways that I think I felt like I could do. And so, I decided to become a teacher.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's just say la vie, that is life, right? Because we grow up thinking that we have this idea of who we want to be as an adult, as a career, and then as you follow your path kind of leads you to you are today. So in a sense, you kind of don't choose your path; it kind of chooses you, and this is a perfect example of that. The follow-up question is, as an aspiring lawyer before you became a teacher, what did you learn in that field that you apply to teaching today?
Well, I would say that I really wanted to be a Power Ranger, but I realized that was not. It's kind of this long running joke. I always wanted to be the Pink Ranger, and I always had to be the yellow one when I was in elementary school. That's just a funny joke. But I think it was just my sense of justice. Like, I think what really made me understand that I didn't want to be a lawyer was like, wait, you would have to defend someone that's guilty? Like, I can't do that.
Right.
And so for me, like, my sense of justice runs deep. And so I'm always advocating for the underdog, or for who doesn't have a voice or who needs support to have more of a stronger voice. And so for me, that's really what I think I take into teaching is my sense of justice.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it makes a lot of sense because, in a sense, you're not the pink or red Power Ranger. You're still saving the world. So
Hopefully.
you're not a Power Ranger, but you're still a hero.
Thank you.
What attracted you to PLU's Master in Arts and Education program, and how did your experience at PLU prepare you to become the teacher you are today?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I was really lucky to be a Costco Diversity Scholar at the University of Washington. So shout out to Costco. They paid for me to go to school. So I was really grateful, and UW was always my, like, where I wanted to go. And so UW does not have an undergrad ed department. So I wasn't able to get my bachelor's in teaching. I couldn't major in education. So then I decided that I wanted to be a teacher when I was at undergrad. And so I looked into UPS and PLU, both really great schools. And PLU just happened to, I was able to, at PLU, to get my K through 8 certification as well as my secondary. So really cool fact that I can teach K through 12. So
Nice.
Kindergarten teachers are superheroes. So they're really the teachers of the year. So I don't think I could ever teach kindergarten because that's the most differentiated instruction. Like you're teaching so many different levels and they're amazing. So, but I have the certification.
Yeah, yeah. And to add on to your point there, kindergartners aren't the easiest to deal with. You have to have tremendous patience.
Yes, like shout out to kindergarten teachers all around the globe. But yes, I had a really great experience with my cohort, and lots of teachers doing really incredible things to this day. But I just remember so many times in class with Dr. Lamoureux. He was the director of the ed program when I was there, and he passed away while we were in class, and that was really hard. He was a really big part of the PLU community in the College of Ed, and so it was really, I just feel like an honor to learn from him, and I feel like that's part of my legacy because I think about him a lot when I'm teaching and the things that he modeled, and there's nothing like Dr. Lamoureux's wait time. And so I always think about that it was like that uncomfortable moment where he was totally fine with being uncomfortable. And so I just think that's part of where I really learned that if we want to grow and if we want change to happen, it happens when it's a little bit uncomfortable, and we have to be patient and we have to wait. And I apply that in how I teach and really thinking about it's not just what we do, but it's the way that we do it. And so shout out to Dr. Lamoureux, and I just always think about him, and his legacy lives on in so many classrooms.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, just him passing away during the whole thing is
It was hard.
how did that affect you?
Um,
On a personal level, on being a student.
I think it just really it hit home just how precious life is, and every day, I mean, it's called the present, right? Because every day is a gift. And I think that's something that I strive to really instill in my students is like every day we are getting closer to our goal or we're moving away from it. And so every day matters, and we have to live with intentionality. We have to live with purpose, and we have to just keep developing each of our unique gifts and talents. And so I just think we just have to make the most of every day. And I have a word every day, or not every day. So every year when school year starts, I have a word, and it's just a word that I think about or that really comes to me. And last year my word was balance. I feel like for the last couple of years, it's been like trying to find the balance between school and work and home and family, all those things. But my word for this year is joy. And
Mm.
in that, not happiness, right? Because happiness is dependent on what happens to us. But for me, it's joy, because I want every day to be looking for joy. I want to find it, but I also want to spark it in my students, and I want them to find it. And so just really being, just looking for opportunities to be joy to others, but also to find joy in the small things. And so I just think that's really important. And that it will look different on different days. And so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think joy is important, and I think a lot of part of us are feeling joy is feeling valuable. And your approach to teaching involves community learning for students to see value in each other and themselves. And my question to you is: are students receptive to that style of teaching?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not the type of teacher that stands at the front and just shares all my information. I really think that we're a community of learners, and so we're a learning community, and our students have so much experience that they bring into the classroom, and so I really want to center that, and I want all my students to feel valued and seen. And so it's really important. I say a lot, sorry. It's really important for me in my classroom with what's on the wall. So there's lots of different posters. There's lots of different things that represent the diversity of our classrooms. the way that I teach, I'm trying to be more, we got tables, we got rid of desks, like we're sitting together. A lot of my classes are project-based, so students are doing the learning and then doing the teaching, so we're working together. But also the way that, like what we're covering. So the content of what I'm covering is going to shift based on who's in my classroom. And so really making sure that what we're teaching and how we're teaching is responsive to who's in the room. And so it could be things like letting students, when they're doing projects, write in their first language and have acknowledging the gift that it is to be bilingual or trilingual in some cases. That's way past anything that I can do. And so really honoring and acknowledging that, and just bringing in just things from different cultures, and getting researching topics that matter to our students. And so I just think that it's so important that we build learning together, and we value what each of our students bring into the classroom. And so I think it's the same for adults. We want to feel like we belong. And so the more that we do to help and support that in our students. And so I always tell my students, in ethnic studies, my goal is for us to learn how to accept and respect ourselves so we can accept and respect other people. So to develop empathy and to develop compassion for other people, we have to first develop it in ourselves. And so part of it is learning about our connections to the past, learning about our connections to our roots, learning about what makes us unique, our gifts and our talents. And that gives us, that's holding up the mirror, right? That's seeing ourselves for who we are. And then we want to have the windows, right? That's the windows into seeing one another. Because when we're in community with each other and we learn how to communicate and have those conversations, we can respectfully disagree, and we can have so much dialogue where we learn and we grow from each other. And we don't have to agree on everything. And so I really make it clear in my classroom, I'm not pushing an agenda. I'm not telling kids how to think. I want kids to really learn how to think for themselves, because that's what we need. We need compassionate, empathetic young people who care about their communities, who learn the skills to have agency, and then go out and just make the space around them better, cultivating their passions and their talents and caring about one another. Like, that's what we need. And that's what I'm trying to always do in my classroom is cultivate that self-love, and then that connection to our communities. And really, what legacy are we leaving? Thinking about generations behind and in front, how can we work together to imagine a better world, a more just world?
Wow, I think that's so beautiful and amazing. The inclusiveness of the approach to teaching is so important, because I grew up myself as a refugee. I came here as a refugee to the United States when I was 2 years old, and my first experience in school was, I didn't speak English till third grade, and I just felt like I didn't belong. I didn't understand the language. I didn't know the customs. Just, learning how to navigate as a young person, as a kid in elementary school, and just learning these new things was really tough for me. So just of you speaking the way you speak about, even writing a report in their first language, it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because how valuable do you feel when your culture is acknowledged and included as part of the norm, right? I didn't feel normal, you know? And to further expand on this, and in the last couple of years, you've included a lesson on Black Lives Matter in your ethnic studies class as a way to discuss racial disparities, privilege, and other inequalities. How have students or parents received that, and what are those class conversations like?
Yeah, and so that's a great question, and it's been in the news a lot lately, and it's something that people either agree or disagree or have lots of feelings or thoughts about. And so there's a specific kind of Black Lives Matter at school, and so that was kind of what we were focusing on. And so what issues at schools do we need to kind of think about and talk about? And so we met as an English department, or we met as a group. And so a group of us educators put together a week long during Black Lives Matter at School week. And we did some lessons. And what we did that was really powerful, I think, was just like we were talking about before, is the need to develop in students the ability to have critical conversations and the ability to talk to one another. And so it's like going to the gym, right? You got to build those muscles. And so having hard conversations you have to build, it's like a muscle. And so we have to start to build it. And so we really started off slow, and we just talked about like, what is race? What is ethnicity? When was the first time you realized you had a racial identity? Things like that, where we're just really understanding and helping students understand the language of those conversations. And then we really went into like, what is BLM? What isn't it? And we talked about those misconceptions and stereotypes, and just had kind of opened up some conversations. And why would a movement like BLM be necessary? And looking at some statistics and kind of historicizing the movement. We looked at climate justice and some other things. And then we looked at some other protest movements and started thinking about like, what do these have in common? What is BLM like or different? And what are people looking for in the future? And then we talked a little bit about the Luis Valdez's poem In Lakesh, and really thinking about that we are in community with one another. And so we are only going to get as far as we work together. And so again, it's about that idea of cultivating self-love by connecting to who we are, connecting to where we've been, and that it's no one's fault how we got to today, but it's everyone's responsibility for how we move forward. And so what does that mean? And how do we learn how to work together to just reimagine what school could look like if we're all working together? What does our community look like? What is our city and our county and our world, right? If we can really start to serve one another and really start to think about other people besides ourselves and just our families. Like, it's very important to take care of ourselves and our families. And in addition, to look out for each other. What does that mean to do, to think about our neighbors when we're doing things? And so that was the vision, and where we went that week was just to help students kind of think about, so they understood, so they could come to their own conclusions and really just think about it. And so much of ethnic studies and so much of what I'm always trying to get my students to understand is, what's the whole picture, right? And so I want them to be critical analyzers of news, just period. I'm not telling them what to think at all. It's an opportunity for them to, again, grow their thinking muscles and really learn how to come to their own conclusions.
Before you became a teacher, what didn't you know? What do you know now that you can share with aspiring teachers today?
That teachers don't live at school. I'm just kidding. I really think I forgot that teachers were like human beings that had lives, though, that teaching is a big part of who they are, but that they also have families and interests and hobbies. And, I just think it's so funny when I run into students outside of school and they're like, what are you doing at the mall? I'm like, I was going to say that
too. As a student too. And, I would see my teachers in the grocery store. I'm like, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Like, this is my grocery store. No, I'm just teasing. I think I don't know. I think the biggest thing is, I don't know if I had like an aha moment, but I think if I was ever going to tell new teachers or really just educators, is I'm a recovering people pleaser. So I'm someone that always felt like I had to be perfect. I'm a planner. Like, I still use a paper planner for my teaching and for all my dates and everything. Like, so I'm old school. And so I used to think I had to have it all together. Like, I have it all together or I don't have it all together at all. Like, it's all or nothing. And the word like I can have it organized and I can drop the ball sometimes. I can do my best and I can make mistakes. I can do something wrong and I can apologize. And so I think the word "and" just helps so much. And I think being humble, having humility, and just really acknowledging that I don't have all the answers to anything. I'm always open to learning about everything. And so I'm always ready to be taught new information, new ways to do things. I don't think I have all the answers. I don't think I know the best way to do all the things. I definitely don't know how to use technology very well. So I love when people shout out to Scott Sherry for showing me where the snipping tool was, changed my life. You know, so I just think when we approach life like that, like I'm just ready. Like I think about that time in Angkor Wat and I'm just thinking about like, okay, this is my new day. Like I'm unwrapping the experience of the day. And so I used to look forward to the weekend and I don't anymore. My husband, who's so wise and I learned so much from, he always just says like, I just enjoy today. And so I'm finding joy. Like, where can I find joy? What am I looking forward to today? Maybe it's watching the game with the family. Maybe it's going on a walk. Maybe it's, you know, a lesson and seeing a student be like, oh, today, I was today years old when I learned this, and enjoying and soaking up that moment with them. And so just finding like, what's the joy today? I'm not looking forward to next week or this weekend, but just finding joy today. So every day is an exciting day for me. And that doesn't mean that I don't have hard days. So I'm not like, I think of the movie Inside Out. So I don't know if you've seen that movie, but I have the characters in my kitchen and they're lined up because when my kids are struggling, because you know they have big emotions on different days, and we always ask ourselves like, who's at your control panel today? Or if they're having a particularly hard time, like who are you allowing to be at your control panel? And I think for a long time in my life, I thought it had to be joy, like joy, and I always had to be happy, and I always had to be, I'm happy and everything. Every day is not good. We go through hard things. So there will be days that will be sadness. There will be days where there's anger. There will be days where we're frustrated or every part of emotion, but we can still choose to find the joy. I can still have gratitude. I can still be grateful. I can still choose to shape or change my perspective. I can't always change my circumstances. Like remote learning, remote teaching, this pandemic, like the socio-political climate, the election, everything right now, the economy, the West Coast being on fire. Like, you know, there's so many things right now that are pressing at us at all directions. And so we have to choose how we're going to respond. Can we choose to have joy? Can we choose to be grateful? Can we choose to treat each other like the golden rule, right? Like treat other people like we want to be treated. Can we choose to serve one another and show up for each other? Like ultimately, that's what I think we need to do more of. So I would just challenge new teachers just to do just that. Bring your whole self and choose to find joy.
Just hearing there's more teachers like yourself is just comforting to know that our children are in good hands. So thank you. Thank you for your time and congratulations again.
Thank you.